Do you have a little bit of an O brain? And have you wondered if perhaps taking medications for OCD could help with your insomnia? Well, if so, you're asking the same type of question that Ed asked the other day. And in this episode of Mining the Comments, we will look at the question from Ed, learn from it in a way that I hope will be really, really helpful to you and anyone that tunes in. So yeah, actually, I don't have any announcements or anything further to say. So let us just jump in to the comments. And as I'm saying that in this very moment, I realize I have not clicked on to share the screen in a fast way. So sorry that took a little longer than it was supposed to take. But anyways, here we are. This is a comment on yesterday's episode where we got to know Shari and her story. And Ed said the following. Another question. I've always had an obsessive personality, and now it's obsessed with not sleeping. Would a medication that helps with making me less obsessed, like an OCD medication, help me make my sleep issues less of a problem? Any advice from anyone? That was Ed's question. So, there more than one thing one could really discuss here, including the personality and our temperament and things of that nature. But what I really felt could be helpful to talk about was this question of like, if I take a medication that helps with OCD, will that help my insomnia? Something like that. And so I think the first question to ponder that can answer the first question is this one. Is there actually a difference between OCD and insomnia? Right? Is there a difference between the two? And it can seem like so obvious, like an expert would clearly say, Daniel, Coach Daniel, who are you? What are you talking about? Of course, there's a difference. Well, is there really though? Let's look a little bit deeper. To me, internal struggles are really always about escaping, avoiding, not wanting to experience something. So with that in mind, let's see, what are we trying to avoid in OCD? Well, actually, it can seem so obvious. It's just like, oh, I don't want to have these thoughts. I don't want to have these compulsions, these behaviors. That's what I'm trying to get rid of. But it's actually not. What we're trying to avoid in OCD is not a thought or a behavior or a thought of a behavior, but what our interpretation of thoughts and behaviors make us feel. So it's again the fact that we're thinking something or doing something, like we're thinking about, oh my gosh, my hands are infected. That's not what we're trying to escape. Oh my gosh, I have to wash them again, and I've washed them 5 times already. That's actually not what we want to escape. But what we want to escape is the feeling that comes from thinking, I shouldn't be thinking this. I shouldn't be doing this. This means something is wrong. Those thoughts, the interpretation makes us feel uncomfortable. We have uncomfortable emotions, and those are what we want to get away from, that we want to escape. What we try to avoid in insomnia is actually not being awake. We're not trying to escape and not sleeping, but what we want to escape is the feelings that come from our interpretation of the fact that we're awake. When we think the fact that I didn't sleep means something is wrong with me, this shouldn't be happening, that makes us have uncomfortable emotions. And that is what we truly are wanting to escape and get away from. And when it comes to OCD or insomnia or any other type of in struggle, those emotions that we are wanting to escape are going to be fear, anger, disgust, sadness, or aversion of these core emotions. The most common one probably is fear and anxiety. Those are the default safety emotion that the brain deploys. Typically it's that anxiety that we want to escape. That's the most common one. Now, with all this in mind, we can see that, in my opinion, they're really the same. You can look at insomnia through an OCD lens. You can look at OCD through an insomnia lens. And if you do the latter, if you look at OCD through an insomnia lens, you can say like, trying to take a supplement to stop thoughts, that's what we call an effort. That's an effort. And if we look at insomnia through an OCD lens, it would be like, trying to put up blinds or block out light. That's a compulsion. But it's the same thing, just using a little bit different vernacular. But again, I think it's the same. And now that brings us to the medication, right? Can we take a medication to stop the thoughts, to kind of like calm down the OCD so that we then sleep. Well, to me, um, the only thing that medications truly can do is sedate. Just like, let's say, alcohol or CBD or other chemicals, they can have a sedating effect on our nervous system. This is true, but they don't educate us. And sedation in itself doesn't really change our interpretation of things, or it doesn't change how we understand things. It doesn't really lead to a place where you know, we have that solid foundation from where we can go like, aha, I see things so clearly. Now I can let go of the struggle. So what I want to point out here is that, to me, um, I speak for myself, and I think really for the school and our philosophy and everything else, when I say that we don't think that medications are right or wrong. If somebody takes a medication and thinks of that as an act of self-kindness, absolutely nothing wrong with that. If somebody says, I don't want to take medication, that's nothing wrong with that either. The point I'm trying to make is that I think when we see that this is not where it's at, this is not the level of understanding that matters, or like, it's not about really what chemicals we take, or what we put in our bodies, etc. It's the level of education, understanding, like big picture, that really matters. So with that in mind, today you're going to hear not only from kind of my thoughts here on this, but what I think matters more, thoughts from somebody who has had the similar experiences to Ed. Let's jump back into this thread and learn from Shannon. It was Shannon and Shari. So Shannon replied to Ed and said the following: I have a bit of that pure O brain myself. What has been helping me during the day for all of my intrusive thoughts is to remain very neutral towards them and then let them sit there and they go away. So if I get an initial spike of anxiety from a thought, I go, okay, then allow the thought to be there without challenging it, ruminating, or adding more thoughts to it. Then it slowly fades out, and I continue with what I was doing. Definitely takes practice. But what Shannon describes so beautifully here is the absence of trying to escape. Not only the thought, because if Shannon had a thought and that thought didn't produce any type of uncomfortable emotion, we wouldn't react at all to it. It would just be like a thought. It would just be super fleeting. But what Shannon describes here is that she has thoughts, and they are intrusive. Like, they're, by labeling it intrusive, we know that they're uncomfortable. So she has thoughts that are uncomfortable. They give rise to one of these like uncomfortable emotions that we talked about before. But what Shannon is, how Shannon is meeting this, is by letting it be, by not trying to escape the thought, the emotions, and then things settle by themselves. And so that was Shannon's very nice reply. And then we also have Shari herself, who says the following: I had lots of thoughts very similar to this. I felt bombarded by these type of ideas. I thought that because I have a bit of an OCD type of personality, that somehow this was really causing the insomnia. I really believe that insomnia is enough to scare the life out of anyone, regardless of whatever type of personality they have. Anyone who's experienced insomnia like we have is bound to become obsessed. It's just part of the problem-solving brain, and it's working super well. This last point is so surprising when you've never kind of come across with what we teach here or similar teachings. Seeing that the fact that the brain becomes like, sends the same thought over and over again, just means that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a problem-solving machine. When it thinks we're in danger, it's supposed to really alert us, to help us problem solve, to be like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. But when, as Shari points out, we think of this is normal. This is just what the brain does when it thinks we're in some type of danger. Then we're not gonna think it's strange that we have obsessive thoughts. And then when we don't think it's strange, it's easier to let them be, not interact with them, not do what Shannon said, let them sit there, and then things automatically become calmer and calmer. Because when the brain has got a chance to warn us, and we're not trying to stop the warning, then the message has been delivered. No need to repeat it over and over again. So yeah, that was it for today's episode of Mining in the Comments. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you're based in the US, I hope you have a nice long weekend. And I will say, if you are finding yourself, arriving to where Shari is arriving, where Shannon is getting, where things are getting easier, and you're seeing through the struggle, That is wonderful. And please let us know. Please share it with us. That would be so nice to hear. If, on the other hand, things are tricky, you're not quite seeing how to leave the struggle, you may be feeling lonely, people around you don't understand what you're going through, you like to share with somebody who does understand, well, then do head over to our website, thesleepcoachschool.com, and check out our coaching options. And if you decide to join any of our programs or have a call with us, then we look forward to seeing you on the other side. With that said, again, have a nice weekend. Look forward to seeing you back next week. Bye for now.